Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to Hindustan Times. My name is Monica Rawal and today I'm in conversation with one of the most sought after actresses from the 90s. With a career spanning over 30 years now, she is known as the Must Must Girl and Shahid Ki Ladki. So I'm sure you would have guessed by now. So without any further delay, please join me in welcoming Raveena Tandon.
My pleasure.
So, Ravina, these 4 months of lockdown, people may have not seen you on screen, on small screen or big screen, but you're definitely out there on social media sharing your opinions, your views, and almost everything. So, you tell me 30 years in industry now, and it's like a landmark that you've come this far when people say 30 years. So, when you look back, has it been like a very gratifying content journey, or there are certain things you probably wish you could go and undo?
Monica, as a person, I am someone who's never regretted anything that I've done in my life. Uh, I believe that my life has a certain destiny and a certain path to follow. If today, if hypothetically, I was a very unhappy person, and if I was miserable in my life and I did not have what I have today, I would have probably regretted. But God has been kind to me.
Yeah.
It's been my hard work, my sincerity, my willingness to move forward against all odds. Probably, I've reached a point where I have full contentment today, whether it's my family, it's my personal life, or it's my professional life. I've lived by my rules. I set my rules for myself, what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do. I never had the need or God gave me the strength that I never had to, resort to stooping down to certain levels to reach the point where I am. I've done it my way and I've done it well and I've done it clean and straight. And no one today can, stand up probably and accuse me of saying, oh, she, messed with me professionally or she hurt me personally. I sleep with a clear conscience. And so, hence, where I am today, I do not regret anything because I believe if I could go back in time and I would change anything, whatever, all the shit that happened to me, whether it happened personally or professionally, that if I would change anything of it, I probably, it's like a parallel life. I probably wouldn't have reached where I am here today, you know? So I am happy and content, and I thank God for all the strength that He has given me to pursue what I wanted to, how I wanted to.
Right. You just said that you're also very very vocal when it comes to answering questions, be it your interviews or your social media. And you said you've not probably had you've not been in a mess with anyone professionally. But has your being vocal ever backfired in terms of maybe rubbing someone the wrong way or upsetting anyone unintentionally, of course?
Yes, my being vocal, yes, used to upset a lot of people because maybe I was not very, I didn't have the art of political correctness earlier, which I've developed over the years now, and I try to keep it correct. But I've never been rude. I know of people who think, oh, I'm damn blunt and I'm damn, they have this attitude about them that, oh, I'm so blunt and, I will say it straight in the face. I believe there's a thin line about being honest and being rude. You can say the same thing, but in probably a better manner.
Right.
So too, you don't do not hurt another person's feelings. So I take a lot of care about that, so that I don't hurt anyone's feelings because that is not my intention. And in case whenever so, even on Twitter or anytime, if I have, I immediately apologize and I'm the bigger person because I see no harm in apologizing to anyone if I realize I've made a mistake. But there are some things that I stand by, I will always stand by.
Absolutely. Ravina, in today's, these days everybody's talking about nepotism, the insider outsider debate, and your recent tweet where you did quote unquote tag the mean girl gang that you said exists in Bollywood that sometimes deprive you of certain roles or overnight you are replaced in a film. So I'm sure that was somewhere very, very personal that you shared about it. So why don't you share more with us and elaborate in that part? Like what I mean, people who've read your earlier interviews will definitely have an idea of where you were coming from. But what exactly went behind when it all happened?
Honestly, I didn't say anything different that I've been saying over the past 20 years.
Yeah.
I've been saying that in all of my old interviews. But at that time, I think no one paid attention. And now suddenly it has become like big news when someone speaks up. I've been speaking up since the past 20 years about this whole thing about, people not being professional and actually indulging in some kind of classroom politics. But let me tell you something, Monica, this happens everywhere. I've seen this happen to my aunt in airlines. My niece, was a stewardess. I've seen these kind of politics happen to her. That if she doesn't please the captain or something, my aunt used to fly for an airline many years ago, and I know one incident when she was very upset and she was sitting and crying with my mom, and apparently she was a trainee and she had gone for her flight, and obviously the captain, wanted to get ahead with her, and she said no, and she came back and she was given a bad report and grounded. So these things do happen in every profession, and people try to take you down. There are the industry, as so to speak. What is our film industry? Our industry is made up of people from everywhere.
Right.
No one person can say ye industry mere baap ki jayedad hai. No one can say that. This is an equal industry. It gives equal opportunities and takes away opportunities given to you as well. So the whole thing about, I find it a little hollow, because I mean, Shah Rukh came from uh, uh, not from a film background. Kangana did not come from a film background. Priyanka Chopra did not come from a film background. Sushant Singh, who Touchwood was so successful, unfortunately, is not as us anymore, was not from a film background. So it does give people, I can name, Rajkumar Rao, Ayushman Khurrana. I can name mostly everybody. My own father, his entire family is of judges and lawyers, and he ran away from his house in Agra to join the film industry, and it gave him a chance. And he started working with 2 rupees a day. He used to work in Filmale as a junior artist, and he used to earn 2 rupees a day. And he was an MBBS, but he did not want to pursue science. He ran away from Agra, the medical college, and came here to become an actor. Salim Javed Saab, everybody came from outside. Dharmendra Saab. So from that generation or this generation,
Yeah.
this industry gives everyone equal opportunities. I being from within the industry, my dad being in the industry, but I still went through a terrible time. At a certain point in my life, personally and professionally, I was zero,
Yeah.
completely zero. And I had to kick, struggle, and try to keep afloat and start all over again.
Hmm.
So it does give you that chance. It does, and it also takes away from you. And I do believe that, some of these star kids have so much pressure on them that it is almost difficult for them to keep a sane mind.
Yeah.
That I think the trolling and social media can almost drive them to depression.
Hmm. Hmm.
So is it their fault that they were born in a film family and that this is what they ultimately have always seen all their life, and this is something they dream of? Who are we to take away their dreams? And matlab, I would understand if the industry was only made up of people. Yes, there are people who are powerful and sometimes misuse their power. And that happens even in your media industry. I've heard of 2 suicides happening within your media industry.
Right.
One anchor, around 1.5 week ago, one pretty looking anchor who was in, I don't know the names of the channels, but she just recently 2 weeks ago committed suicide.
Yes.
So this can happen in any industry. But what I'm thankful for, that if there is more to just suicide, I'm glad that the people of our country are woke enough to demand justice. And today we have got justice, because like you, or like all those people out there, we too want to know if there is an unfair situation that has happened with anyone leading to any kind of a suspicious death,
Right.
and more so of this brilliant, talented boy. We are all there in it together.
Right.
So it's not, this outsider word that has been given. by social media and the media. I don't understand this outsider word, because I can say my dad was an outsider. Am I an insider? So how does this, what, who gives us the certificate? What is the qualification?
Right. But
So
Ravina,
being
given
a
the
so-called insider, I have gone through the worst times in the industry.
yeah,
I've been played politics with, I've been kicked out, I've been made fun of, you know. I'll tell you an incident. There was a certain hero whom I worked with, who thought making fun of poor spot boys and poor production boys, and really remember one incident where this hero, and this was, and he thought it was humor. And I won't mention which industry, South industry, Mumbai industry. I will not mention that. I'm sorry, I won't go that elaborate. But I remember the production guy was standing there, and maybe the hero had a problem with the production, but there was an empty bowl, and we were doing a rain scene, and he kicked the bowl next to the production guy and said, "Come, come, 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 have some water, have some water." And I thought that kind of behavior was deplorable, and I did not laugh, while his entire cronies and bunch of chamchas laughed. And I just stood there staring that, and I looked down because I was ashamed of this kind of behavior. So I have been like that. I have stood for what I always thought was not right and what is right. And that hero never worked with me again, because he thought I didn't understand his sense of humor, and I didn't pat him on the back where he thought he had made a great joke. So these kind of things happen. There are people who misuse their power. It's not that doesn't happen,
yeah.
but it happens everywhere.
You've even
But
on record.
these kind of people need to be called out.
Yeah,
One point
that's
I
true.
do want to make, that these kind of people need to be called out, so that many more people practice a fair, and this gives it an opportunity for the film industry to become an atmosphere of fair, equal, and professionalism.
Absolutely. And you've even said that there are, of course, good and the bad, both the sides in the industry. So there are people, like you just said, misuse their power. Is it true that someone can also gang up and plan your failure? Does that also happen?
Well, that hasn't happened to me, but that there was always an individual who probably prayed day night for my failure, but unfortunately it did not happen. And I think, as equal, probably how their god must have been, my god is probably as strong as their god. So that did not happen, and I always believed in my own hard work, and I always said that let my work speak. If I'm
Right.
not talented, and if I'm lazy and I'm getting things easy, I'll be kicked out like this. There are 10 people waiting to replace me.
Yeah.
So it was not any, that I entered the industry with a crown. No, I did not. So
Okay.
there are 10 people waiting in line to replace you, because this, you've got to believe in yourself. You have to have faith in yourself. But I do believe that in my in my entire career, like you say, it's been 30 years. I remember that Satish Shah's show, 30 years ka experience hai. You know what show was that? Isi ka naam Zindagi or something.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember. It was a comedy show with Shafi Namdar ji and the late Shafi Namdar ji and Satish Shah ji. Uh, um, so in these 30 years of mine, I can surely say that I've met more good people than those 4 5 individuals who have tried to spread malicious gossip, or tried to get me removed from movies, or plot around me. So I have met many more good people. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be standing here.
Yeah.
Those 4 5 bad people probably would have been successful, you know. So, and neither did that I produced my own movies, or my husband is producing movies for me, or my father has produced movies for me. Never. I always believed in the fact that I'm going to stand on my own feet. I never let my dad launch me. My dad never launched me, even though he was in the film. People used to tell him that, like how Mahesh Bhatt Saab is launching Pooja, or there were other fathers who were, launching their kids. And my dad would look at me and say, "Really, are you interested in joining?" I mean, it was never a spoken thing. I was not even interested initially. I'm here by default. I completely say so. And I was assisting Prahlad Kakkar. So even when the awareness started coming in and I started getting a lot of film offers, there was never talk of my dad, "Oh, you should launch me and make the most of it," kind of a thing. In fact, I always told my dad that I would not like it if you launch me, because I want to stand on my own feet. I want to be self-made like you are.
Right.
And if every parent loves what their children are doing, हमारा बच्चा जो करता है हम सबको अच्छा लगता है, अरे वाह वाह देखो मेरे बच्चे ने इतना अच्छा काम किया. But when the critics and when people from the industry, outside people from the industry say, yes, you've done a great job, that is very, very valuable. So I always used to tell my dad that I don't want you getting involved, you know, because I want to stand on my own feet. And like I said, I did it my way because uh, it's like I said, हर एक माँ बाप को अपना बच्चा अच्छा लगता है, and they try to,
But despite this struggle, I remember you said to me earlier that people still accused you of being a product of nepotism, right? You were not launched by your father. You've had your own share of ups and downs and struggle. So people still say
right.
she had an easy way because she had an access to the
Yeah, there are
industry.
times when I suddenly read on my Insta, Are, so your dad was in the industry, but I was discovered actually in a pizza parlor where nobody even knew who my dad was. And Vivek Vaswani, and in fact, I was doing an interview with Vivek Vaswani that day for his institute, and he was telling the entire hall of students that she was sitting in a pizza parlor. I'd gone from college with my friends to eat. There was only one pizza parlor 30 years ago called Open House on Linking Road, and we all used to go and hang there. And he and Anant were sitting and discussing about the film. And Vivek looked at me and said, Anant, there is your heroine sitting on that table. They didn't know who I was. They walked up to me and they said, would you be interested in movies? And I said, I don't know. I'll have to ask. I mean, I'll have to ask my parents. What is it about? And I recognized Vivek because he was actually a friend of my brother's. So I said, Vivek, you didn't recognize me. And he said, no, I'm sorry. I said, I'm Rajiv's sister. He said, oh my God, you're Rajiv's sister. And then the whole thing came about, oh, she's Raviji's daughter, and. So, and that's how I started getting many, many more film offers. But Patthar Ke Phool was the first one I said yes to. So it was not that I went to offices with my portfolio or my dad called up people and said, oh, I think my daughter. In fact, my dad was like, really? You want to do movies? I mean, it was a surprise for him. So it's exactly happened. And I said yes one day. I had no acting classes, no experience, no training, and next day I was shooting. So I
Right.
did have a little bit of experience of modeling because I'd done a couple of ads during between my 10th and 11th, the interim where you start college. That 2-3 months I worked with Prahlad Kakkar, and then I continued working with him for a year.
Right. So in
So
your case,
it just
this,
happened to me. So,
yeah.
but tomorrow, I mean, I shudder to think that God forbid my daughter says I want to join the industry. I'll have to tell her, no, I think you should think of becoming a lawyer or doctor. Please don't join my industry because people won't let you live. So are we supposed to kill our children's dreams because now I'm already in the industry? So
Right.
so then maybe I think politicians' sons should not join politics. I think doctors' sons should definitely not become doctors. I feel actors' children likewise maybe should never join. I feel maybe so then the whole scenario changes. Maybe a lawyer's children should not become a lawyer. They should not join any kind of law practices.
Mhm.
So I think media head who run their children should never join the same business. They
Yeah.
should go in some obscure place and probably become a veterinarian. So it the whole game changes. The whole thing
Absolutely.
changes. So I mean, what is one supposed to do? And but let me tell you one thing: if a person has talent and dedication and is hardworking, no one can take away his kismat from him.
Absolutely.
जो है वो मिलेगा ही.
But
अपना भी टाइम आएगा.
in your case, this whole insider outsider debate has got like a new meaning. In your head, you were an outsider. Like being an insider, you were launched as an outsider, but people think no, she continues to be an insider. So there's like two dimensions to it. But tell me from this whole experience of having worked with you would have also worked with certain star kids back then. And now when we see people talking about all this insider outsider arena on sets, have you seen actors being treated in a unfair manner? Are there prejudices and let's say, unfair practices towards people who are not from within the industry? Does that, because that has become like a bone of contention here. People really, really feel that, oh, they're always sidelined, be it at award shows, be it in auditions or
No, I don't think
roles.
so. I don't think so. I mean, uh, I feel yes, everyone has to go through their struggle period,
Hmm, hmm.
and whether you're a small-time journalist starting off where you're insulted by the head editor, or you are a small-time actor, or starting off a struggling actor starting off insulted by the director. There's a very nice incident my dad used to tell me. I'll make it short. When my dad was a junior artist, he was working on a 2 rupee scale, a 2 rupee a day scale. That's what he used to earn. He used to live in a PG somewhere, and he was on the set and he was given a dialogue to say. And one day he mumbled his dialogue, as in he got nervous in front of the camera, and he screwed up his take. And about he gave about 3 4 takes, and the director got really mad at him. And literally, like you show in Hindi films, he was thrown off the set. He was told, "कहाँ से आई ये? निकालो यहाँ से, एक dialogue बोलना नहीं आता है, इसको हटाओ यहाँ से."
Really?
Uh, and my dad was thrown off that set, and he suffered a setback, and he couldn't believe that he finally got a chance to actually say a dialogue in a movie, and he was thrown off. In fact, if you see in Tumsa Nahi Dekha, as a junior artist, he's riding a cycle behind Shami Kapoor ji, like a
Okay.
side artist. And about a year and a half, 2 years later, in the interim, he joined RK Nayyar Saab. He assisted RK Nayyar Saab. He became his chief AD, and he became a director, and he got his first break called Balidan. On the sets of Balidan, one day he was shooting there with Manoj Kumar Saab, and he was sitting behind. It was a lunch break, and he was sitting behind the camera, and he was just generally starting to eat, and he saw a lot of these, the other junior artists sitting over there and eating, and he couldn't believe his eyes. In one corner, wearing the dress of a dacoit and opening his dabba, was the same director who had thrown him out. And
Really?
Monica, he walked towards that director and he said, "Sir, do you recognize me? I'm Ravi, I'm Ravi Tandon." And that director looked up at him and said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." So he said, "Sir, you cannot sit here. You please come and sit next to me." And he got him to sit next to him. And the next shot, he told that person that, "Sir, I will not take the person's name." And he said, "Sir, I want you to help me direct the next shot. You will direct the next shot and I will be your assistant." I mean, while narrating this only, I'm getting tears in my eyes. So this is what the industry can be. This is what any profession can be. You have the highs, you have the lows, and nobody or anybody coming from anywhere can be treated badly. Superstars have suffered such bad setbacks, who were superstars in some day, suddenly they are nobody in another day.
Right.
So it is not, it is not that, oh, because they are outside. Who, if you go to see, Amitabh Bachchan ji was an outsider.
Yeah.
When he had his struggling days coming, he being Shri Harvansh Rai ji Bachchan's son. He was, told in offices, "अरे तुम तो बहुत लंबे हो, तुम्हारी आवाज बहुत भारी है, तुम हीरो नहीं बन सकते हो." So everyone has their struggle period, Monica. If every person in this industry starts telling their stories, whether they're star children or outsiders or insiders, everyone will have a struggle story to tell. In fact, I feel bad for the star kids. I feel sorry for them, because the way they are going through, and I mean, it needs a lot of courage to withstand the kind of trolling. They're also human beings. Why are we forgetting that they're also human beings with dreams and ambition? Maybe it might be earlier for them, but if they have no talent, it becomes even more difficult for them to
Yeah.
live up to the expectations and to overshadow their parents' legacies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's even a bigger struggle for them. I know so many of star brothers or star sons who are today in major depression. They are getting treated for clinical depression. So it's not fair in a certain extent to say, oh, and also, yeah, to answer your first question, that no, at least in front of my eyes, I haven't seen any differential treatment for any outsider insider. Again, I'm saying that this is a word you all have given. I don't believe that there is an outsider insider. The industry is made up of everybody, from
Everybody.
people from all walks of life. with different backgrounds. And I can name them today. The topmost stars ruling. Take a Ranveer Singh. His father is a builder. Yes, he's a Mumbai lad, undoubtedly, but doesn't mean that now, because the industry is based in Mumbai, now even Bombay boys shouldn't be given a chance.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
he doesn't have a film background at all. Deepika Padukone, her father is Prakash Padukone ji, absolutely non-filmy, but came from outside. But that doesn't mean we squash her dreams. He's from the sports industry. So
I
there are people who are from the royal family. There are people who come from from any part, and they make it big, because if you have it in you, nothing can stop you. You just have to believe in your dreams and have faith in yourself.
No, what you said about Starkid is pretty valid. That, while talking about mental health these days, trollers, people trolling them online don't really think what kind of
And
trauma.
cruelly trolling.
Right,
It's a cruel
right.
kind of trolling.
Ravina, not just
Yeah, if you
trolling.
don't have talent, maximum your father will make how many films for you? One film, two films, three films.
Yeah,
Then so you don't, nobody has a right to go and sit in their own father's office then.
yeah. I'm saying not just trolling. We've seen how Janvi Kapoor's recent film, is receiving a lot of backlash. Pooja and Alia Bhatt Sadak 2 has become the most disliked trailer. For somebody's hard work to be also written off like that, even before the film has come, right? So there's boycotting of films of star kids. It has also become like a norm on social media that people gang up. A lot of people will, make an agenda that okay, we have to bring down this film and not get it the kind of attention it should get. How fair is that? Of course, it's not fair, so there's no justification. But when you look at
I
all this,
honestly don't know if I believe that every film does well or doesn't do well with its merit or unmerit. There was a phase where one of I think Amir's films was trolled very badly, but
hmm,
undoubtedly that film did very well. So it also depends on the film, if it is really good or it's really bad. Please, I think our public is very intelligent, and keeping personal biases aside, if a film is good, it will do well. If a film trailer is not good and people don't like it, they don't like it.
right.
We have to accept what the audience also tells us.
Before I conclude, you've touched based upon how social media is becoming this place where massive and merciless trolling is happening. You are out there, you also don't mince words, and people have kind of tried to take a dig, but you give them back. How long it took for you to cope up and deal with the scenario and make peace with what's happening on social media? Do you also ignore these nasty comments or block them, or do you believe in always hitting back?
Nowadays the kids can't take this kind of nasty trolling, because I think, and I see a lot of journalists also who initially could not take this nasty trolling, because I think they're a little new to it. But our form of trolling and trolling, and the way I've become a little thick-skinned, and I can bear it all or ignore it and continue being happy in my life, is thanks to the vicious 90s media. The yellow journalism that we faced, at least over here, when there is trolling, it's one comment which you can block or you can do away with. But in those days, the vicious magazine headlines, you could not block or you could not do away with it. You had to live with it.
Hmm.
The story would be completely fake. They got their TRPs, they got their headlines, that's all they wanted. And they would not even care to give a justification. And in fact, I think social media to a certain extent is a boon, because today you can put your version out. You
Right.
can give out your reasoning. You can reach on a one-to-one with your well-wishers, with your fans, with people. You can connect. In those days, there was no way that you could have connected, because what the media wrote was the last word. Even if they had to give you a justification or a clarification, it would be one small line right at the obscure bottom of some random page, which did not make sense, that oh, that story we discovered was false, so we are sorry. That's it. Hello, you ruined our reputation for months on end and ruined our credibility, just saying what you felt like, and then that sorry then has no meaning. So I think for me it's fine, but for others they do find it very difficult to take this kind of trolling. It's
But
okay. It's a
you know,
part of
to
the game, but at least you can put your version out.
to end with, you just mentioned again, and my next thing I was coming to, it has been a boon also at a lot of places. We've seen the power of social media, Raveena, and especially in case of Sushant Singh, where the entire world, media, actors also, a lot of them were seeking, appealing for a CBI inquiry. Now that the case is finally with the CBI, I want to know what do you have to say about that.
I think it's a great victory for the people, and I am glad because it was, literally a billion people asking for, justice. And I do believe that there will be now a fair trial and there will be justice ultimately, because the more you see and the more we are reading, it's getting murkier and murkier, and it's getting fishier. So there, there, there definitely must be something that otherwise it cannot reach this point. And I just do hope and I pray for his soul that he rests in peace. He was a wonderful person, bright young star, literally. And I'm not saying star in the filmy connotation, I'm saying star like what our galaxy has. And and he went too soon, and I'm really happy that the CBI has now taken over this inquiry, because we do all want to know, and we do all believe that if there is some kind of unfair play to this whole thing, the guilty must be punished. And I like I said, this industry then only becomes a better, this world becomes a better and a cleaner place to live in, more professional.
Thank you so much, Ravina, for even answering this,
Thanks.
because I know how a lot of people are not really coming forward and discussing, but really, really happy for you being an honest person. So, more power to you
Thank you.
and keep shining on social
Thank you,
media and
Monica.
on our screens. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Speak to you soon.
See you.
Bye. Bye,
Bye
my dear.
bye.